read you the I poem today. The letter I is extremely important because it's a vowel. So we've got a capital I that looks like this. An I can be a letter, and this I is also a word. But this week we're learning it as a letter. We already learned it as a word a while back. Lowercase I is a line with a dot that floats. So the dot doesn't actually touch that line. It floats, okay? And then it's got a really large picture of this lizard, and this lizard has a specific name. It's called an iguana, and it starts with the letter I. Watch, iguana. So let's open it up to the first page where it's just got words. Now on a ruler, don't know if you've seen that before, but there are such things as rulers. They measure things. And there's this part that says 1, and when it looks like about that much, that's called an inch. Inch starts with an I. This worm is called an inchworm. And then instead of calling this a grasshopper or a bug, we're going to call it an insect. That's a fancy word for bug, insect. And we're not going to call this a lizard, we're going to call it a iguana. So these are just words. They're not sentences yet, just words that you might see in the sentences later. So inch, inchworm, insect, iguana. Okay. A-N spells an. An inch is an inch. She's showing you what an inch looks like on that. Is an inchworm an inch? So is an inchworm an inch long? Now, do you notice this mark right here? That's a question mark. It means they're asking a question. See how it says, is an inchworm an inch? They're asking a question. Is an insect an inch? Well, that's more than an inch. It's like at the 5 inches. But see, that was another question. They're asking another question. Is an iguana an inch? There's another question. An inch is an inch. So this is the whole thing. An inch is an inch. Is an inchworm an inch? Is an insect an inch? Is an iguana an inch? An inch is an inch. And this is how you make the I on the lines correctly. So this is the ceiling and the basement, the dotted line. When you make a capital I, you start at the ceiling, go down to the basement, rivet, back to the top, cross the top like a T. But then at the bottom, you have to cross it also. Now it's an I. I says, I. Sometimes it says I. Now, lowercase I, you start at the dotted line. You make a line going down to the basement, but then you have to jump up and you make a dot, but the dot needs to be floating. It should be like in the middle of this window part, okay?